Hey guys, it's Kime Interviews. We are here with Wage War.
Back it up!
First off, your album just came out like last night. I listened to it on Spotify real quick. I haven't talked to you guys since Blueprints was just about to come out, so it's been a while.
Last time we were here, yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot's happened since then, and you guys have blown up. I mean, you guys are probably one of the bigger names in the metal scene right now, especially the Warped Tour scene. So, I mean, what do you guys think has contributed to that? What resonates with your audience that other bands have been lacking?
We've been doing a lot of touring, like tons and tons of touring. I feel like some bands want to wait for the perfect tour. I think just hopping in the van and just going, no matter who it is, just getting your name out there. And I think our lyrics kind of hit home with a lot of kids also. So I know it's a quick jump from touring to lyrics, but like I think those two things like have helped us a lot tremendously. So
I think it's a combination of that, and the tours that we have gotten have also been great tours. So like we haven't done a bad one, but we pretty much haven't been home since we talked. What is that? November 2015. Like we'll be home for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, but we really just stayed on the road the whole time. And we try to be the best live band that we can, and also be like cool dudes. Like we go hang out every night at the merch table, and I feel like the days of being like rock stars is all over. So I think it's cool to just like go hang out with the people that support what you do, and I do think that is also a big thing, is just relating with people.
Yeah. So you're on your first national headlining tour, and what's it like, headlining a tour versus opening? Like you're saying, you have A Day to Remember, Parkway Drive, all these like dope, like huge acts, but the fans might not know your music as well. So what's it like headlining?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's awesome being the big dog on the tour. We've never had that experience, so it's like everyone plays, and then when our band comes on, like the kids just go insane. You're like, wow, they're actually here for us. So it's cool. It's really cool seeing our fans come out.
Yeah, I think it's tight, and I feel like it's also kind of stressful because like you are primarily in charge of the show and the turnout, so you don't want it to be like sucky for the other bands, but every show has been great so far, so it hasn't been a thing at all. But yeah, it's great. It's great. I feel like supporting is very important, but getting out there for the first time and doing your first headliner, though it's risky, is important.
Yeah. And so, speaking of these bigger bands, Jeremy was involved in this record as well as the last one. What's like something he brought to the table this record that like would be missed if he weren't there in the studio writing with you guys? Like any specific song that he had a huge influence in, or a certain aspect of your guys' writing style?
He worked a lot on Indestructible. That was kind of like a co-write between all of us, which was really cool to do. Just like sit in a room and flesh out lyrics and riffs and melodies and stuff. So we had a great time doing that one. One of Jeremy's like big strengths is when we'll listen to like the original pre-pros, like I'll bounce something from my house that I've done. And when we listen to it together, he kind of sits there and he accents like the big part of the song. He's like, hey, I think this should be, your big part. Let's expound on this. Let's like build it all together. Like he's kind of just like listens through, and as he listens, he just hears this stuff, and we go with it most of the time, or we add to it, or whatnot. But yeah, it's just great.
He's really good at polishing your songs. Like you have something, but he'll do little tweaks here and there. It kind of makes the song really come together. So yeah, I think that's a huge thing he does with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so take me into the studio, like the writing process for you guys. What are some things that you intentionally were like, hey, we need to add this? Or what are some intentional things that you were like, hey, let's leave this out as a band? Like what were the intentional notes that you took as you were in the studio writing this new record?
I think sonically, like a lot of the record, on Blueprints it was like a lot of the mixture, like the singing and screaming, which we still do a lot of that, because that's kind of like our trademark thing. But I think on this record we really like segregated heavy and melodic. So we got really heavy tracks like Stitch, Disdain, Deadweight, and then we have more melodic tracks like Gravity, Don't Let Me Fade Away. It's kind of 50-50. Witness is kind of 50-50. So
Johnny Cash, yeah.
Johnny Cash, yeah. So like we kind of just like took some different steps that way. Still have those like crossover songs, but yeah, I think sonically we just like try to like, if it's heavy, keep it heavy. If it's melodic, keep it melodic. But really, like, no rules. Just, like, go with the vibe, I guess.
I think we really wrote what we wanted to write this time. There wasn't like, oh, we need to have this kind of song on the record. It's just like, well, this one's heavy and this one's not that heavy. So it was kind of cool to do that.
So, like, the meaning of the album, Deadweight, what does that mean to you guys? How does that fit in with the songs and the lyrical content on the rest of the album?
For me, Deadweight's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like shedding that skin that's been, I don't know, whatever you're going through in your life. I don't know if it's like you have bad relationship problems, or like you have a problem with drugs or any kind of addiction, anything like that is kind of just for me, the whole album is about going through those things, and either like they beat you down or you kind of let them go. So it's a very personal record for me, at least. So that's what it means to me.
Anything you'd like to add for?
You pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's very much like just a record of like letting go of things that hold you back in life. A lot of the record revolves around a relationship issue, and a lot of it revolves around like inner struggle and just like not liking who you are and like wanting to be better. So essentially what he said. Yeah.
You guys were like quoted in an interview. Well, I'm quoting you from an interview that you were saying that this album is a little bit darker lyrically, and that there were some like things that you had to experience from the Blueprints era to now. So like, what kind of things were you struggling with, or what topics do you delve into in this record?
I feel like being away from home is like, it's really fun playing shows, but it does take a toll, because I mean, I've had family emergencies that I've been halfway across the country with. So yeah, a lot of things like that in this record. Personal heartbreak, just a lot of just life kicking you in the butt a little bit. But I mean, there is hope. It's like there's a lot of lyrics in there that kind of like, hey, keep your head up. But yeah, life's not all roses all the time. So I think that's what this record's kind of say.
One of these standout tracks that I've been hearing about just in this past 24 hours, I guess probably less, is that people are really attaching to that song, Johnny Cash. They're really liking the cleans, and they're liking the screams as well. It's a very like all-encompassing song. But so just like for a little tidbit, what is that song about? Like, just tell the fans a little bit more about it, almost like a track analysis real quick.
Yeah, I would say that throughout the record, there's obviously a very tragic relationship ending that is huge in the on the record, and that song kind of just like sets that free essentially. The last words of the whole album are "Deadweight, no longer part of me," which are also the last words of the song "Deadweight," and the song is very much just like, it's from a place of like helplessness, I feel like, and that's another one of those songs, is like, it's no hope. It's kind of just like, this is how I felt, this is what I went through. And it's kind of just a way of coping with it. And that's where you're talking about the record being darker. I feel like there's like negativity and positivity. And I think what people like about songs like The River and Stitch, and now Johnny Cash even more than that, is that everyone's been through something tragic like that. Whether it was, a divorce or breaking off an engagement or a breakup or anything like that, or just losing someone, like, everyone goes through that at some level. And I feel like no matter what, people are going to always connect to that. So that song was obviously sonically a different thing for us, but it was a very real thing. Like, I feel like when we did our takes for it, Briton and I, like, we just kind of got in the mindset by whatever means. So yeah, it's a pretty heavy song, and it's gonna be a hard one to play live. But I'm glad that people are really latching onto it.
Oh, yeah, it's for me, Johnny Cash is about getting your heart ripped out and just learning how to live after that. Like Cody said, we've all had those tragic things in our life. So yeah, I'm glad people like it. That's super sick.
Yeah, absolutely. So lastly, guys, what is your favorite song to play live off of this record, or that you are most excited to play live off this record? And then what is like your overall favorite track in general from this record?
Stitch is probably my overall favorite and to play live, because kids just go nuts to that song, which is so sick. I don't know. Disdain kind of sounds fun to play. That one's more of like a Slipknot ripper. That'd be fun to play live one day.
Probably on the other side, I'll probably be Johnny Cash, possibly even for both. But I really enjoyed playing Gravity, and I think when we get to a spot where people know the song a little bit better, since it just came out 24 hours ago, I think it'll be like a cool moment in our show. Like, a lot of it's like, 24/7, just people, beating the crap out of each other. So I think to create the moment where we can all just have a sing-along and put your lighters up or your phone or whatever, like, I feel like that'll be a cool thing. So Gravity and Johnny Cash, but I do love Stitch, so.
Yeah, definitely. I love Stitch too. It's great. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. Yeah. Guys, make sure to go pick up Deadweight out everywhere right now. Fearless Records.
But I guess we weren't worth saving.